I'm a stream machine. Hello. Hello again. Hello again for today. My name is Rob, and I'm about to say a poet. That would be fun. I'm an artist who refuses to give up. Today, apparently, I refuse to give up streaming. I've thought about it, and streaming is a way for me to potentially hang out with people, but do what I want to do. A couple of different people today have reached out to me, inviting me to do things that I did not want to do. And also, oh, well, I just got a text, but the notice came and went. So, in order to read that, I'd have to go to my laptop. Um, uh, a lot of times, I don't know, I'm a picky bitch. When I hang out with people, I feel that they are talking about things that don't interest me. So this way, I get to, as I say, potentially hang out with people and do what I want to do. And what I want to do right now is read. Earlier today, oh, well, I didn't complete my introduction. I call my channel Humanism. That's my brand of humanism. Humanism to me is unconditional love, no shame. I'm alternating. I can't decide if I'm warm or cold. So bear with me. I wish I had lip balm, but I don't. Maybe I'll get up later. Maybe I should do it if I'm going to be um, talking. I'll turn this off. I've got a massager going on my back. Lip balm. Lip balm, lip balm, lip balm. Well, I know there's some in the bedroom. Be right back. I'm still here. I went to get lip balm, and I got this beer that I keep trying to talk myself into drinking, but I don't enjoy it. And I just thought that I would enjoy right now to change the smell in my home, so I'm getting a stick of incense. So now I have incense and I thought this would do as an incense holder, but I've got this. Earlier today, I was reading poems, reading from this poetry anthology, and I was skimming around a lot and returning to Gertrude Stein, who's one of my favorites, if not my, if not the favorite. And I was saying what I like about her is I think of her poetry as like abstract poetry. It doesn't have a narrative. It doesn't, at least not, it doesn't seem so to me. It doesn't have a clear story. It allows my mind to wander to whatever I choose. Um, so my preferred poetry is like that. Um, Abstract, mind expanding, unclear, not just a story. And yet, sometimes you want a story. So I'm going to read a long poem this time. But yeah, my when I usually look to poetry, I usually think of it. It's almost like my sacred text, um, little enigmatic verses that I like to lose myself in, and my mind wanders, and I just feel um, that humanity, human mind, human thought, human feelings, human art, I feel that it's beautiful. And I need that. So I turn to poetry for that. Uh, uh, Sometimes daily when I'm more functional. I haven't been too functional lately. I don't remember if I did my intro. Hello again, I'm Rob. I did do it. I'm an abstract artist who just won't quit. I face more setbacks than successes, and I keep doing things my way anyway. I feel that I know what I want out of life, and I'm delusional enough that when things don't go my way, I think it's um, not. I would say it's not me, it's them, meaning the world. But I could flip it and say it's not them, it's me, meaning I'm the one who needs to remove myself from uh, the setting that I don't find to be life affirming. Oh, all of a sudden, when I started this idea, it was bright enough for me to read. I think I'll need glasses. I'm going to read Vladimir Mayakovsky, the prologue from A Cloud in Trousers. And this poet lived from 1893 to 1930, another short lived poet. Well, I chose this corner because of the natural light and my thinking that it might be magic hour on my face. And now there's not enough light to read. If I move here, still not great. This is the way my show goes. It's just, oh, I know what I'm going to do. But I will get my glasses if I can find them. Last fall, I was fairly organized. I knew where all my library books were, and I kept my glasses near them. And my life has been downhill since then. But I have a belief, I touched on this earlier, that I have to feel good to live, like it's mandatory. And that includes looking at downtime as downtime, which I'm referring to as being laid up in bed with back pain. I think it's best for me to view that as a period of reflection. My mind is thinking, you know, we're always working things out. So I'm going to move this, and I'm going to put candles here. And you might think, is candlelight enough to read by? And I say, it can be. So now I think you need to see that. Can I light it from here? This table is, well, I don't think it was designed to be a table. Oh, another thing that I do when I'm in my functional stage is I trim wicks, but not when I'm in my dysfunctional stage. So we're going to have a, oh, I knew I wasn't, well, we'll see. Okay, I did it. I was afraid I wouldn't be able to do it all on one match. That was perfect, actually. Is that why matches are that length? Because usually I light a match and I um, light one thing, and then I actually get annoyed at the waste of the length of the match, and then I save them for what? I don't know. ¿Dónde está mi? Oh crap! It's something like gafas, mis gafas. I'm probably going to have to bump up my prescription soon. I don't know. I read pretty well without them. Gafas, sí. but I can't see y'all when I do this. Vladimir Mayakovsky, or Mayakovsky, je ne sais pas, from A Cloud in Trousers, prologue. Your thoughts, dreaming in a softened brain, like a stuffed lackey on a greasy couch, I will tease with a blood-soaked scrap of heart and satiate my impudent caustic contempt. That's paragraph one. I read that much and a little bit more earlier today, and I said that I liked the intriguing language, but I wasn't in the mood to be drawn into a story. But now I am. And I hate violence, but we'll see where it goes. There is not a single gray hair in my soul. There is no grandfatherly gentleness. Shaking the world with the might of my voice, I go by, a handsome 22-year-old. Dear ones, you play love on a violin. The crude play love on a drum. But unlike me, you can't turn yourselves inside out and become entirely lips. It's funny that I put the incense directly between the camera eye and me. We can consider this a spiritual reading. I do. But unlike me, you can't turn yourselves inside out and become entirely lips. Out of your cambric drawing rooms, come and learn. Officious officials of the Angelic League, and you who calmly thumb through your lips the way a cook flips the pages of a cookbook. If you want, I'll rage on raw meat, or changing tones like the sky. If you want, I'll be whoa. So it took me a while because I was like, I don't like violence. This is a love poem. This is an aggressive love poem. From A Cloud in Trousers. Come on, Rob, let's feel it. Prologue. Starting over. Your thoughts, dreaming in a softened brain like a stuffed lackey on a greasy couch, I will tease with a blood-soaked scrap of heart and satiate my impudent caustic contempt. There is not a single gray hair in my soul. There is no grandfatherly gentleness. Shaking the world with the might of my voice, I go by, a handsome 22-year-old. Dear ones, you play love on a violin, the crude play love on a drum, but unlike me, you can't turn yourselves inside out and become entirely lips. Out of your cambric drawing rooms, come and learn, officious officials of the Angelic League, and you who calmly thumb through your lips the way a cook flips the pages of a cookbook. If you want, I'll rage on raw meat, or changing tones like the sky. If you want, I'll be irreproachably gentle, not a man, but a cloud in trousers. I do not believe there is a blossomy nice. Again, I glorify men as stale as sick rooms and women as battered as proverbs. 1. You think malaria makes me rave? It happened. In Odessa, it happened. I'll come at 4, Maria said. 8, 9, 10. The evening fled from the window into the terror of the night, leering, Decemberish. At my decrepit back, the candelabras cackled and sniggered. You won't recognize me now, a sinewy hulk, groaning, writhing. What can such a huge clod want? A huge clod can want so much. It is really important whether we are cast in bronze or whether the heart is a cold piece of iron. Let me say that again. because that was a question. Is it really important whether we are cast in bronze or whether the heart is a cold piece of iron? At night, I want to hide my clanging in softness, in woman. And so, massive, hunched up at the window, I melt the glass with my forehead. Will there be love? And what kind? A big love or a crumb of love? How could such a small body have a big one? It must be a small, humble love which shies from the honking of cars and prefers the bells of horse trams. Remember when this was written? The turn of the 20th century. Or before, who knows? No, wait. When was this guy born? Sorry. This is my ADHD theater. No, he wasn't 7 when he wrote this. So the early 20th century. More and more, nuzzling the rain, my face against its pockmarked face, I wait, splashed by the thundering surf of the city. Midnight, running loose with a knife, caught up, slashed. Get away! 12 o'clock fell, like a head from the chopping block. Gray raindrops on the window panes screamed together, amassing a mask as though the gargoyles of Notre Dame were howling. Damn you! Isn't it enough? Soon screams will rip my mouth apart. I hear, quietly, a nerve jump up, like a sick man from his bed. Barely, barely moving at first, it soon skittered about, agitated, distinct. Two more joined it, failing madly in a desperate dance. The plaster crashed on the floor below. Nerves, big, little, thousands of nerves, galloped crazily until their legs gave out. But through the room night oozed and oozed. A heavy eye could not get out of the bog. Suddenly the doors rattled as if the teeth of the hotel were chattering. You came in, abrupt, like take it or leave it, maiming your suede gloves. You said, "You know, I'm getting married." So what? Get married. It's nothing. I can take it. See how calm I am? Like the pulse of a corpse. Remember, you used to say, Jack London, money, love, passion. But I saw only one thing. You were a Gioconda which had to be stolen. And they stole you. With the arch of my brows flaming, I will gamble again in love. What of it? Homeless hobos sometimes find shelter in burnt out houses. Are you teasing? You have fewer emeralds of insanity than a beggar has kopecks. That was a quote. That was my way of doing a quote. Remember, Pompeii perished when they teased Vesuvius. Hey, gentlemen, amateurs of sacrilege, crime, carnage, have you seen the terror of terrors, my face, when I am absolutely calm? I feel my eye is too small. Someone stubbornly bursts out of me. Hello, who's speaking? Mama. Mama? Your son is gloriously sick. His heart is on fire. Tell his sisters, Liuda and Olya, he has nowhere to hide. Every word, every joke he vomits from his sizzling mouth, jumps like a naked prostitute from a burning brothel. People sniff. Burnt flesh. A brigade drives up, shining. In helmets. No hobnail boots here, please. Tell the firemen, climb a burning heart with gentleness. I'll do it myself. I'll pump barrels from tearful eyes, brace myself against the ribs. I'll jump. I'll jump. I'll jump. Everything has collapsed. You can't jump out of the heart. From cracks of lips, a charred kiss throws itself on a smoldering face. Mama! I can't sing. In the chapel of the heart, the choir loft catches fire. Scorched figurines of words and numbers scramble from the brain, like children from a burning building. So fear stretched out flaming arms on the Lusitania to clutch for the sky. Shaking people, 100-eyed blaze bursts from the docks into the quiet of the apartment. Shriek into the centuries if you can. One last cry. I am on fire. 2. Praise me. The great are nothing to me. On every achievement I stamp nihil. Don't know what that means. I never want to read anything. Book? What are books? 4. Maria, 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 let me in, Maria. I can't stay out in the streets. Don't you want to? Will you wait until my cheeks cave in, sampled by everyone? Then I'll come, stale, toothlessly muttering that today I am, quote, remarkably honest. Maria, you see, my shoulders are already drooping. In the streets, people will poke holes in the fat of 4-story goiters, thrust out their small eyes, sickly from 40 years of dragging about, to snicker at my having between my teeth again the stale crust of yesterday's caress. The rain sobbed all over the sidewalks. The scoundrel, condensed into puddles, all wet, licks the cobblestone beaten corpse of streets. And on his gray eyelashes, yes, tears flow from the eyes. Yes, on his icicle eyelashes from the sagging eyes of drain pipes. The snout of the rain, this is better. The snout of the rain drooled on all the pedestrians, but flabby athlete after athlete flashed by in carriages. Stuffed to the eyeballs, they burst. Grease dribbled through the cracks, and together with chewed over rolls and the cud of old ground meat, it flowed down in a turbid river from the carriages. Maria! How can you cram a gentle word into a fat ear? A bird begs with songs, and sings, hungry and resonant. But I am a man, Maria, a simple man, coughed up by consumptive night into the dirty hand of the Prasanna. Maria, do you want such a man? Let me in, Maria. With convulsive fingers, I'll grab the iron throat of the doorbell. Maria! The street pastures have gone wild. On my neck are the scratches of the mob. Open up! I'm hurt. You see, ladies' hatpins are stuck into my eyes. You've let me in. Darling, don't be afraid if sweat-bellied women, like a wet mountain, sit on my bovine shoulders. So, through life, I drag millions of huge true loves and a million vile little loves. Don't be afraid if once again, in the storminess of infidelity, I cling to thousands of pretty faces, admirers of Mayakovsky. This is really the dynasty of queens ascending the heart of a madman. Maria, come closer. Whether in naked shame or fuck. Fuck. Yeah, we're getting to that. Whether in naked shame or shaking in fear, just give me the unwithered charm of your lips. My heart and I have not once lived as long as May, and in my past life there are only 100 Aprils. Maria, the poet sings sonnets to Tiana, but I, all flesh, all man, simply ask for your body, as a Christian asks, give us this day our daily bread. Maria, give. Maria, I am afraid of forgetting your name as a poet is afraid of forgetting some word born in the tortures of nights, great as God himself. I will love and cherish your body the way an unwanted friendless soldier, war amputee, cherishes his only remaining leg. Maria, don't you want me? You don't want me? Don't you? Ha! It means again, I will take my heart, spattered by tears, and carry it like a dog carries a paw run over by a train back to its kennel. With the blood of my heart I make the road happy. It sticks like flowers to a dusty tunic. 1,000 times the sun will dance like Salome around the earth, the head of the Baptist. And when my collection of years has danced to the end, 1,000,000 bloodstains will be strewn on the path to my Father's house. Winged swindlers, cower in heaven, ruffle your feathers in frightened shaking. You, reeking of incense, I'll rip open from here to Alaska. Let me in. You can't stop me. I may be lying, or I may be telling the truth, but I couldn't be any calmer. You see, they've beheaded the stars and bloodied the sky with carnage. Hey, you, heaven, off with your hat. I'm coming. Quiet. The universe sleeps. A huge, star-infested ear resting on a paw. Well, so that's not the kind of poetry I usually go for because I don't usually go for story poetry. I like the short ones that sort of say, what's life about? But um, I have I have a short attention span lately, and I have a hard time getting into novels, longer stories, even short stories. And I thought a poem that's a story I can handle, especially one with so much that language is alive and bursting and over the top and just entertaining, you know? Would it ruin it for me to find out more about the person who wrote it? Oh, by the way, that was translated, which is, well, really makes you wonder. But so let's say the original was something like that. I've got too many bookmarks. Arthur Rimbaud. There's a lot of translated work in this book, which I think is that problematic? Translated by Peter Bogdanov. Oh, and by the way, as I told you at the beginning, that said, oh my God, that was several pages from the prologue. Oh no, no, it says from a cloud in trousers, and then it has prologue, and then all those one, two, three. There were a few places I didn't read them where it had ellipses, so I guess they um, after in number two when he said, "Praise me, the great are nothing to me. On every achievement I stamp nihil," which might be the character's name in this poem. I never want to. No, no, because later he says, "I praise it." It's himself, Mayakovsky. We'd have to look up what nihil means. I'm curious if, since he says, "The great are nothing to me. On every achievement I stamp nihil," like I'm thinking of nil, nothing, nihilism, just like, oh, you've got your great achievements. I say, not impressed. And then it says, I never want to read anything. Book, what are books? And then it has ellipses. And I think there were a couple other places that it did that. And that, I mean, and that seems definitely like the end. Quiet. The universe sleeps, a huge star-infested ear resting on a paw, like a animal sleeps. This man sounds, absolutely nutty, and I like it. I mean, all he's just got blue balls, and his ode to blue balls. The Russian poet Vladimir Mayakovsky wrote A Cloud in Trousers when he was 22, as he says rather boastfully in his poem, A Handsome 22-Year-Old. The story in the poem is that the poet loves Maria, and he's dying to see her. She finally comes to him very, very late and says she's going to marry someone else. Who wouldn't be angry? But for Mayakovsky, being upset is like a storm, a volcano erupting, an earthquake. His feelings seem very strong to him, so strong that it seems he can't contain them, can't bear them. By the way, I just want to interrupt and say, I hope that this man's way of expressing himself was merely in words and not in beating people, in beating women. Like, oh, I'm a tormented genius. I laugh, but these things do happen. I mean, wife beaters deserve to be canceled. Why do I say that? Because there's somebody else just as good who isn't a wife beater. I'm not saying this man is. His feelings seem very strong to him, so strong that it seems he can't contain them, can't bear them. He says, My eye is too small for me. By his eye, he means his regular self. His, oh, thank you. I don't like it when people tell me what a poem means, thanks. I might have to stop reading this. His other poetic, emotional self feels enormous, boundless, and everything that happens to him seems like a tremendous event. He feels he's caught fire. Yeah, I don't need a guide to the poem. I actually wanted a mini bio of the man. This is a textbook. It even has a thing. Try writing a poem of rage or protest. It could be about something that you are, in fact, really furious about. A fight with a friend, for instance, or some way you have been treated that is wrong or unfair. Or you can exaggerate or invent feelings about some rather ordinary injustice. Uh, use tough words, not obscenity, but the kind Mayakovsky uses. Words like amputee. Now that's a little obscene to, to me. Swindlers, reeking. Fuck you, I'll write the poem that I want to. And also, that's no biography. Sorry. I bought this because it's an anthology of modern poetry. And here, oh, their biographies at the end. Yippity doo dah. But they're not in the order that the poets appear in the book. And they're not in alphabetical order. They're in order of the birth date of the poet. Okay. Vladimir Mayakovsky lived in Moscow during the Russian Revolution and the first years of the new Soviet government. Along with his other poetry, he wrote political poster poems for the state, as well as several plays. A Cloud in Trousers was written in 1915, 2 years before the Revolution, when Mayakovsky was associated with an avant-garde literary and artistic movement called Futurism. Okay, well, politics might have greatly influenced his life, but that was not very much info about Mayakovsky. Yeah, I could look it up myself. Hi, is anybody there? You can't really see me, can you? Should I move the camera? I'm doing this because I'm lonely. I'm streaming because I'm lonely. I tried to watch videos and I was bored. And then I went in my library and found this Spanish in 3 months. Should I do it? I'll try to speed through the very beginning. Stress on the second to last syllable. Examen, flores, hombre, cigarrillo. But except for words with stress on the last syllable. Papel, ciudad, mujer, capital. Exceptions are indicated by a written accent. Árbol, lámpara, estación, inglés, música. Accents are also used to distinguish words with the same spelling but different meanings. El, the, el, he. See, yes, see, if. Me, me, me meaning my, me meaning me. Mas meaning but, mas meaning more. I didn't know mas meant but. I thought pero was but. Interesante. The vowels a, o are strong vowels. E and u are weak ones. When the two strong vowels come together, they are pronounced separately. Paella, teatro, poeta. When two weak vowels come together, the stress is on the last one. Cuida, viuda. I don't know if I said those right. Cuida, viuda. When a strong vowel and a weak one come together, I'm going to guess the strong one is stressed, unless the weak one is accent. Aire, air, air, jaula, oído, aún. All right, not that I don't think that's interesting. I could go back to poetry reading. I'm just killing time, hoping someone might talk to me. I'm going to sit in quiet for a few minutes and think about what you've done. I'm so dark. I'm in the dark. This is so heavy. It's the type of thing I dream of moving out of the country. I'll miss this. I'm sure I can pick one up, but it won't be this crazy thing that came from my grandparents. And I have two of these. These would be so cool on a. This would be so cool in Mexico on a table. It costs a lot to ship things there. I'm trying to like beer again. Now it's like warm, almost warm. In my streaming career, that's been less than a year, I believe, you can find videos where I am quasi manic, singing. I went through a. I had the idea of trying to record. This is actually too bright for my eyes. I went through a period where I was trying to record my every thought as it came to me because I thought that was, well, it, um, because stream of consciousness literature exists, but it's not accurate to the way my mind works. And I just thought I would try to narrate my thoughts for, you know, I try to do things that I don't see happening elsewhere because I just think not everything, I think that there's an illusion created by um, human communication, art being for money, being restricted to um, like high quality productions, high production values. It's not real. I think it creates an expectation in real people that life is supposed to progress the way our edited entertainments progress. And I think boredom is healthy, pauses are healthy. I do this stuff. I don't know if any human being could put up with the pace, my pace, but I turn on, well, I basically I can't watch broadcast television anymore. And last year I was looking for podcasts like, oh, I want to listen to a meditation podcast. But if it begins, like many of them began, with voices saying something like, you're listening to Meaningful Mindfulness, brought to you by blah, 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 blah. Be sure to like and subscribe and do our and I'm just like, well, that's not mindful. That's mindless. I'm not even doing. I listen. I'd have to listen to something to imitate it because I keep all that away from my life so much I can't even do it. But it's like people talk at this intense level. So maybe it's just me and maybe my life. I mean, I've certainly removed myself from the pace of life as it happens out there. But when I see uh, the sound I'm describing is the same as this face on Instagram. When I see that, I don't think, wow, they're having a great time. I think, wow, they're posing like they're having a great time. And so what? It's probably safer if I just read more poetry. We all need our distractions to get by, as I said in my earlier stream. It's just that I choose my distractions now. I choose things that I think enrich my life. and that means not so much beer. This was a sweet treat. I drink milk and cola as a dessert sometimes. Once more into the book, but that was all that there was by that guy. So I know I'll just go through the book and stop at the first one that I like. Gerard Manley Hopkins, Pied Beauty. Glory be to God for dappled things. Nah. So when I don't like one poem, I skip the entire poet. Arthur Rimbaud. I embraced the summer dawn. Nothing was stirring yet in front of the palaces. The water lay lifeless. Encamped shadows did not leave the woodland road. I stepped forth, arousing breaths alive and warm, and precious stones kept watch, and wings rose up without a sound. My first enterprise was in the path already filled with cool pale glints, a flower that told me her name. I laughed at the blood waterfall, blonde waterfall, which tossed disheveled hair across the pines. Um, I'm gonna stop because it's the other one was about uh, lust, and this is another one. And um, sometimes I look for old movies because there are fewer explosions in them. And then I've reached a point. Well, some of them have lots of explosions because I've reached a point where I'm like, oh, movies fall into many movies fall into these categories: war, um, like violence, war, um, is violence over there, and then there's like crime, violence here, and then there's objectification of women. I suppose there are other genres, but it can be hard to find uh, stuff that speaks to me. I dislike more things than I like, and that's okay. William Butler Yeats, 1865 to 1939. Eh, none of them appeal to me. Next. Well, Gertrude Stein, I love her. I was reading her earlier. I'm trying to find something that's a little bit more narrative right now. Rilke. Let's try Rilke. Rainer Maria Rilke lived 1875 to 1926. 51 years, right? Oh, did I turn it off? Five sonnets from Sonnets to Orpheus. I'll tell you right off the bat, I don't normally like anything Greek, but we'll see. I'm a picky bitch. Mm. So I said when it comes to movies, I don't really like war, violence, or heterosexual womanizing. Um, the Greek myth thing is I don't like supernatural stuff. And acting like it's so important. I mean, people continue to make the same stories over and over again, and I'm like, I'm not impressed with these made up gods. But I have faith in Rilke because people I know like him. So let's see how he writes. I'm a jerk. Mirrors, no one yet has really described what you are in your true nature. You, as if filled with nothing but the holes of a sieve, the intervals of time. You, spendthrift, still giving yourself away to the empty ballroom. When the dark dawn comes, as wide as the forests and the chandelier goes, like a 16-point stag through your impossible gateway. I think I need to reread that because that sounds like, is that a is that a sex thing? Like I don't mind sex. I don't like I love sex. I love explicit sex. I don't like gender. You, spendthrift, still giving yourself away to the empty ballroom when the dark dawn comes, as wide as the forests, and the chandelier goes like a 16-point stag through your impossible gateway. I don't know. The chandelier goes through your impossible gateway. I don't understand it. You, as if filled with nothing but the holes of a sieve, the intervals of time. Oh, oh, I'm sorry. Duh, he's talking to mirrors. Mirrors, no one yet has really described what you are in your true nature. You, as if filled with nothing but the holes of a sieve, the intervals of time. You, spendthrift, still giving yourself away to the empty ballroom, when the dark dawn comes as wide as the forest, and the chandelier goes like a 16-point stag through your impossible gateway. It wasn't sex at all. Sometimes you are full of paintings. A few seem to have entered into you. Others you sent shyly past. But the loveliest girl will remain until, there to with her withheld cheeks, Narcissus clear and set free shall force his way. I'm bored. Super bored. Besides, I don't think it's Rilke. I think I'm thinking of someone else who people I know admire. Yeah, so I dislike most stuff. That's okay. I read a Wallace Stevens poem earlier and didn't hate it, so let's try Wallace Stevens, 1879 to 1955. Disillusionment of 10 o'clock. The houses are haunted by white nightgowns. None are green, or purple with green rings, or green with yellow rings, or yellow with blue rings. None of them are strange, with socks of lace and beaded cinctures. People are not going to dream of baboons and periwinkles, only here and there an old sailor, drunk and asleep in his boots, catches tigers in red weather. Oh, that's it. This guy's a nut. 13 Ways of Looking at a Blackbird. 1. Among 20 snowy mountains, the only moving thing was the eye of a blackbird. 2. I was of three minds, like a tree in which there are three blackbirds. 3. The blackbird whirled in the autumn winds. It was a small part of the pantomime. I'm going to stop reading the numbers. I'll just pause in between each one. A man and a woman are one. A man and a woman and a blackbird are one. I do not know which to prefer, the beauty of inflections or the beauty of innuendos, the blackbird whistling or just after. Icicles filled the long window with barbaric glass. The shadow of the blackbird crossed it to and fro. The mood traced in the shadow an indecipherable cause. O thin men of Haddam, why do you imagine golden birds? Do you not see how the blackbird walks around the feet of the women about you? I know noble accents and lucid, inescapable rhythms, but I know, too, that the blackbird is involved in what I know. When the blackbird flew out of sight, it marked the edge of one of many circles. At the sight of blackbirds flying in a green light, even the bawds of euphony would cry out sharply. He rode over Connecticut in a glass coach. Once a fear pierced him, in that he mistook the shadow of his equipage for blackbirds. Equipage? The river is moving. The blackbird must be flying. It was evening all afternoon. It was snowing, and it was going to snow. The blackbird sat in the cedar limbs. And that is 13 ways of looking at a blackbird. Wallace Stevens. So I've learned I like Wallace Stevens. I like Gertrude Stein. I like that Russian dude. Although, well, that was, I wouldn't come back to that guy. That was enough of him. I'm going to skip one, save one for later. Move on to Depression Before Spring. The cock crows, but no queen rises. The hair of my blonde is dazzling as the spittle of cows threading the wind. Ho, ho! But Kikiriki brings no ruku, no rukuku, but no queen comes in slipper green. So there is an example. He's probably writing about sexual frustration, but it's not. I find it acceptable because it's poetic. Plowing on a Sunday. Am I just. Is it me? I see sex in everything. The white cock's tail. tosses in the wind. The turkey cock's tail glitters in the sun. Water in the fields, the wind pours down. The feathers flare and bluster in the wind. Remus, blow your horn. I'm plowing on Sunday, plowing North America. Blow your horn. Tum-ti-tum, ti-tum-tum-tum. The turkey cock's tail spreads to the sun. The white cock's tail streams to the moon. Water in the fields, the wind pours down. Uh, okay, dude. Anecdote of the Prince of the Peacocks. This guy, the rabbit as king of the ghosts. I've had enough of you for now, but I'll come back. One of the first things you notice in Wallace Stevens' poetry is how full of bright, gorgeous things it is. Fruit cheese, feathers. I just noticed cocks. This has something to do with Wallace Stevens' ideas. He had, in fact, very strong ideas, well, about what things were like, how people should look at them. Who is this textbook? Who is this written for? In his later poems, he often wrote about these ideas. Uh, Write a poem starting with the ordinary way things actually are. Say what things people are wearing, for instance, or doing, or building, or carrying, or saying, but make most of the poem about the way things are not. You can make the poem about the world in general or about a particular place or group of people. I can do whatever I want. Guillaume Apollinaire, 1880 to 1918. Zone. You're tired of this old world at last. Oh, this is the one that's very much set in Paris. And earlier I was like, this poem doesn't speak to me because I don't live in Paris. But now that I'm choosing, that's when I was looking for poetry to, you know, uh, guide my spirit. Now I'm looking at poetry for entertainment as an alternative to uh, TV. It'd be fun if I lit my hair on fire. Because I'm so bored. Nobody will talk to me. Zone. You're tired of this old world at last. The flock of bridges is bleating this morning. O shepherdess Eiffel Tower, you've had enough of living in the Greek and Roman past. Even the cars look ancient here. Only religion has stayed new. Religion has stayed simple, like the hangars at Port Aviation. O Christianity, you alone in Europe are not ancient. The most modern European is you, Pope Pius X, and you whom the windows observe shame forbids this morning. You going into a church and confessing, you read the handbills, the catalogs, the posters that really sing. That's poetry. And there are newspapers if you want prose this morning. There are dime serials filled with detective stories, portraits of great men, and 1,000 other categories. This morning I saw a pretty street whose name I have forgotten. Clean and new it was the bugle of the sun. The managers, the workers, and the beautiful secretaries from Monday morning to Saturday afternoon go by 4 times a day. Each morning the whistle wails 3 times. About noon a clock barks out 12 angry chimes. The words written on signs and walls like squawking parrots, the plaques and post-no bills. I love the charm of this industrial street, located in Paris, between the Rue Aumont Thieville, and the Avenue des Ternes. That's the young street. and you are still just a boy. Your mother dresses you in blue and white only. You are highly devout, and with your oldest friend Renee Dalise, you love nothing so much as the church ceremonies. It's 9 o'clock, the gas is down, all blue. You tiptoe out of the dormitory. You pray all night in the school oratory, while the eternal and adorable deep amethyst turns forever the flaming glory of Christ. It's the beautiful lily we all grow. It's the red-haired torch the wind does not blow out. It's the pale and bright red sun of the sorrowful mother. It's the tree with all prayers evergreen in all weather. It's the double beam of honor and eternity. It's the six-sided star. It's God who dies on Friday and is resurrected on Sunday. It's Christ who goes up in the sky better than any pilot could. He holds the world's record for altitude. Pupil Christ of the eye. 20th pupil of the centuries, he knows how to do it there. And changed into a bird this century, like Jesus rises in the air. Devils in the depths look up to see a thing they say imitates Simon Magus in Judea. If he can fly, he surely flies by night. The angels flip and fly around the handsome acrobat. Icarus, Enoch, Eli, Apollonius of Tyana glide around the first airplane. Sometimes they part for the carriers of the Holy Eucharist. I have to take a pause for a second. I'm guessing this person is trying to reconcile their Christian upbringing with modernity and planes and whatnot. I don't think it's genuinely uh, devout, but it could be. I mean, all that stuff about the Pope. Do I want to keep going? Not really. Oh well. It just goes on and 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 on. The French poet Guillaume Apollinaire lived and wrote at the end of the 19th and the beginning of the 20th century. He was killed in World War I. His lifetime corresponded with the beginning of modern times, of the modern world, the world of automobiles, airplanes, electricity, and modern cities. He was 20 years old when the 20th century started. Maybe he was devout, but definitely living in a different age. Oh, William Carlos Williams. I like William Carlos Williams. And I think I read them all this morning. Oh, I don't think I read this one because it's long. Yes, I did read it. No, I read some. I didn't read it all. I'm just going to keep reading if nobody will talk to me. This is a healthy way for me to pass the time. January morning, sweet. 1. I have discovered that most of the beauties of travel are due to the strange hours we keep to see them. The domes of the church of the Paulist fathers in Weehawken, against a smoky dawn, the heart stirred, are beautiful as St. Peter's approached after years of anticipation. 2. Though the operation was postponed, I saw the tall probationers in their tan uniforms hurrying to breakfast. 3. And from basement entries, neatly coiffed, middle-aged gentlemen with orderly moustaches, that's me, and well-brushed coats. 4. And the sun, dipping into the avenues, streaking the tops of the irregular red houselets, and the gay shadows dropping and dropping. 5. And a young horse with a green bedquilt on his withers, shaking his head, bared teeth and nozzle high in the air. 6. And a semicircle of dirt-colored men about a fire bursting from an old ash can. 7. And the worn blue car rails, like the sky, gleaming among the cobbles. 8. And the rickety ferry boat Arden. What an object to be called Arden among the great piers on the ever new river. This sounds like another person who's just, who's just fascinated with modernity. My ears and microphone just told me low battery, so this will be the last poem. And I'm not loving it, but I'm going to finish it. Put me a touchstone at the wheel, white gulls, and we'll follow the ghost of the half moon to the Northwest Passage and through, at Albany, for all that. 12. Long yellow rushes bending above the white snow patches, purple and gold ribbon of the distant wood. What an angle you make with each other as you lie there in contemplation. 13. Work hard all your young days, and they'll find you too, some morning staring up under your chiffonnier at its warped basswood or basswood bottom and your soul out among the sparrows behind the shutter. 14. And the flapping flags are at half-mast for the dead admiral. 15. All this was for you, old woman. I wanted to write a poem that you would understand. For what good is it to me if you can't understand it? But you got to try hard. But, well, you know how the young girls run giggling on Park Avenue after dark when they ought to be home in bed? Well, that's the way it is with me somehow. Boy, I did not enjoy that poem. I like most of his others, though. Here's one called The Act. There were the roses in the rain. Don't cut them, I pleaded. They won't last, she said, but they're so beautiful where they are. Ah, we were all beautiful once, she said, and cut them and gave them to me in my hand. See, like that's beautiful. Okay, I'll finish with William Carlos Williams. I like him. Um, so in some of my videos from last fall, I would do things, read poems, talk about my life struggles, do little projects. What I'm trying to say is I had more energy then than I do now. But my streams have always been disorganized. Another thing I find suspicious about this book is that one of the authors put his own poetry in the back, and he's not famous to me. So, whereas most of these other names are, so he's putting himself among the greats of all time. And also, it's written by two people, Kenneth Koch, or yeah, Koch, and Kate Farrell. So Kenneth Koch, I say Koch, might be Koch, might be Koch. Um, he's the lead author on top, and he put his poetry in his own anthology. And the second name is a woman, and I don't know if she's a poet, but there's no poetry by her in here. And it just makes me think that she did all the work and he put his arrogant touch on it and his own. I'm a cynic, but I guess I should look. Should I look at the man's bio for himself? Oh, he didn't put one? At the time this book came out, four of the poets in this collection were still alive. So he put a biography of every poet in the anthology except for himself. I should read his later, but I mean, maybe it's good. Then you can talk about. I mean, if I were doing a textbook on art, I would have the most to say about my own work. But I probably wouldn't make a textbook on art. Maybe. Maybe more like a lecture series. But everything I do is personal. I could do a um I could do a series on artists who've influenced me and why, and that could be fun. For the record, some of my favorites are J.M.W. Turner, Juan Miro, Cy Twombly, uh, that guy who's still alive, who's um, I can leave him out. Gerhard Richter, and my favorite, Helen Frankenthaler. And I'm sure there are others. I mean, I started out with Monet and Van Gogh in mind, and I like Rothko. Should I make wishes as I blow these out? So I don't like wishes because I don't like supernatural appeals to the supernatural, but I like good intentions. So this is for good sleep after I'll probably finish. When I finish this, I'm gonna probably watch the end of the Chernobyl series I've been watching. And I think my intention is to do minimal phone use and to brush my teeth before I get in bed to watch Chernobyl. So here's to good sleep. And here's to a good day tomorrow. I hope that it is sunny. It's funny as I do this and I say I don't like wishes, but I'm saying here's to, which is um, like a cheers. And I have one of my ideas, I talked about drinking earlier. One of my ideas is that uh, I kind of feel like the only humanistic spirituality that I've experienced in American life is the toast before drinking. I grew up Catholic, and every religious utterance was some memorized, you know, like all the life had been drained out of it through endless repetition. And including the prayer before meals, it was a memorized do. So the only time that people spoke to each other about feelings and the importance of an occasion was a. Now, my mom's version of that is meaningless. She just says, "Here's to us," which is nice, but it's thoughtless because she says the same thing every time in the same tone, quickly. I think she's uncomfortable with sincerity based on the half century that I've known her. And I think that if your culture only associates sincerity with what you say before drinking, I think that's kind of fucked up. And here I am saying, here's to a bright tomorrow. What does here's to mean? Is it a wish? Is it a prayer? I'll come back to you. Maybe I can't do this. It's too much. This one, nothing. That was just for the sensation of smoke. Hey, purple. My ass hurts sitting on the edge of this 70-year-old sofa. It's too much. I love you. I don't know how to express meaning and intention without following the forms that I know that have come before me that have been handed down. And they're either religious or superstitious or this drinking culture. I like to speak plainly. I'm going to use you to light the candle that I'll use to light my way because there's no light on in my house, and I like that. See, hold on. There. Poems are fun because they're a structure, and I can talk about anything, and you know, it's written by someone else, and I find meaning in it or I don't. But this that I'm doing right now is difficult because what am I trying to do? Create a new religion? Just because I was about to blow out the candles and I'm on camera and I thought, oh, like when you blow out candles on a birthday cake, you make wishes, but I don't believe in wishes. I believe in intentions, blah, blah, blah. I'll see you tomorrow if I light you tomorrow, but I'll see you whether you're burning or not. Humanism is hard because it isn't a continuation of specific rituals that came before. And yet, humanism is meant to include everything. So, I don't want to be anti religious, but I don't want to repeat uh, religious practices thoughtlessly. I love candles. I love the design of this. So, thank you for spending the evening with me. And thank you, anyone who's watching this. I love you. I'm sure I'll do something like this again. I enjoy streaming. It's a good time for me to hang out and do spiritually healthy things. I don't have a streaming schedule.